Hello, this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I was inspired by this piece of paper here. It came out of a paper pumpkin from Stampin' Up, and I really liked how it was tone on tone on a wood grain background, and I liked these defined lines between them. So I'm trying to duplicate that or copy that. So I've got a piece of wood grain paper. It's not exactly the same, but that's what I'm going to start with. And I'm going to bring in Versamark ink. And this stamp, it's an oldie but goodie, lovely as a tree. I'm going to ink that up. You could use any tree stamp you have. I just happen to have this one. Ink that up really good. I'm going to stamp it down here towards the bottom. You'll see on the original they have them coming right off the bottom. So I'm just going to stamp it pretty close to that bottom. Okay, you can't see anything yet, but let's bring in clear embossing powder so the wood grain will show through. You could maybe use white as well. Make sure it all has a good coating. Probably should have used an embossing buddy on it, but I'm not that worried about it. A little bit of extra there. I'm just going to flick it from the back. That's pretty good. Okay, let me put the lid on this and get this out of the way so it doesn't get spilled. Bring in my heat tool. Reach over here. And hold it in here so that it doesn't fly away on me. Turn this on. Let's melt that clear embossing powder. As soon as it goes clear and not powdery, you'll know you're done. It'll still be hard to see, but there it's starting to. You see how it's starting to turn clear? Now if you let your heat tool heat up a little bit, it'll go a little bit faster. There a little miss. I didn't miss any. You don't want to overheat it or it'll just disappear. Alright. Now I'm going to bring in a stencil. You can use your own. I'm going to use a combination of pre-made stencils and ones that I've made either using Post-it note tape, or you could use masking tape, or you can even use, I'm going to use also a piece, just copy paper that I cut in the mountain type form. Okay, so I'm going to put on this first one. This particular one happens to be from a Stampin' Up paper pumpkin kit. Not the same one that these came out of. It was from an older one. And I've masked off this middle area, and I'm just taping this down so that it stays put. Oh, I don't want to do it on this though, so let's move this out of the way. Do it right on my glass table. I'm going to use pecan pie to start with, and a blending brush. That inked up. I'm going to ink this really well. Now this is the mountain that's the closest to us, so it's going to be the darkest. See, as in here, see, it's darker and then it goes gradually lighter and lighter. So we're going to try to mimic that. If it's not exactly the same, that's fine. You just want to try and make sure your mask, whatever you're using for a mask, doesn't move. If it does, just try to put it back in that same place as close as you can. I want this kind of dark down here, so I'm going to a little bit more pecan pie. And normally I tell you to start off the page. With this particular instance, it really doesn't matter. Got a fingerprint down there. Look at that. Embossed. All right. I'm going to hide it. Okay, now I'm going to come in with some early espresso ink. It's a darker ink. It's also a little bit cooler. That's why I put the pecan pie underneath it. So I wanted that warmer color. Okay, so I'm going to go over with a little bit of this early espresso to make this bottom one even darker. Okay. Now, the opposite side of this stencil that I used is up here at the top. So now I'm going to switch it, and I'm going to put this, line it up with what I've already done, and then I'm going to scooch it up just a little bit so I leave a little bit of a border there. And I'm going to have to move this one. Okay, then I'm going to tape that down. And I'm also going to cover up this stuff down here that I don't want to blend. Get another piece of tape to tape this down. And then I'm going to bring in my next mountain. And let's see. I think I'll use this one. So you're going to use both the positive and the negative of each mountain. Okay. Oh, you know, I want the top one first. Okay, so I'm going to put that on. Then I'm done with the espresso ink. So we'll come back in with the pecan pie. We're going to do another round, and I think I want to add a piece of tape there so I don't go past the top. You want this one to be pretty dark. You don't want it quite as dark as the one below it. Okay, now we're gonna, this one can come off altogether. We're done with it. Save all these post-it notes. See how it made that really cool white edge? Okay. Now, I'm going to take this one off. I'm going to take the other side of it, and we can't see through it, so we're going to line it up with what we did, and then scooch it up a little bit and stick it down. Okay, then we're going to figure out what one we want next. And I think I did this one next. Doesn't really matter for what you want to do it. Tape it down really well. Put a row of tape here so I don't go beyond it. And we're going to go in with a pecan pie again. This time we're going to try to go even a little bit lighter. If it's not lighter, that's fine too. No two are going to be exactly the same, because where you put your mountains are all going to be a little bit different. Just trying to make sure it's smooth. Okay. Now we'll take these ones off. Take this one off. Cool. It's not quite as big of a stripe, but that's all right. Now where's the other half of this? Oh, over here. Okay, so now we're going to find where this matches up. We're going to do one more set. Match this up here. And go up. Tape it down. And then we're going to come in with a different mountain. We could use that same one, just a different part of it. I think I'm going to do this one. Like that. And I need to tape off that part because it's not very thick because I used the Post-it tape. And we're going to go ahead and go in with the pecan pie again. I don't know why, but I find this relaxing. The swirling motion must be. Oops. It's catching that corner there. I don't want it to. Catch that corner right there. All right, let's take that off. There you go. There's our mountains. Now you could keep going, do the whole thing if you wanted, but I liked leaving a little bit of that wood grain at the top. So the next thing I'm going to do, let's get all this stuff out of the way. I'm going to bring in a rag, and I'm going to buff over the top of where the embossing is, so that any ink that's sitting on top of that embossing is going to come out and resist. Okay, and while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and clean off my table. All right, we're done with the brown ink. Now let's make this into a card. Now this particular piece is 3.5 by 5 inches. So I've also brought in a piece of black, which is 3 5/8 by 5 1/8. So let's go ahead and mount this onto this black layer. And I'm going to use my wet glue. This is a thinner paper, so you have to keep your glue a little bit thinner. just going to have an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. All right, so there's that piece. Now I wanted something else down here in the bottom. So I had this a scrap of, this is just the rest of the piece of Cricut vinyl. I believe this is a chalkboard one. It's kind of rough, but I cut it out with this die here. You can't see it. This one here. It's one of Stampin' Up's, but I can't remember which one it is. And I'm just going to peel this backing off of it if I can. So it's a sticker, basically. And that's going to go down here at the bottom. Very bottom of that panel that we embossed. Okay, and I'm going to come in with bone folder and burnish that down really good so it sticks. It doesn't want to stick to that wet ink very well. Let's turn it over and give it a good burnish. Okay, so that might have to add a little bit of glue. Just that part doesn't want to stay stuck. But okay, then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this piece. Okay. Now I have a piece of brown, and this is from Michael's, I believe, or Joann's. It's like a chocolate chip color, and this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So this is going to go on here like this. I want it closer to the left side, so it's going to this side, and this side is going to have the same dimensions. And there's a little gap on this side where I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So I looked through my stamps for some skinny sentiments, and I found Teeny Tiny Wishes. It's a very old one, but I love it. And I mounted that in my MISTI so that this stamp is along the edge. I'm going to take that piece of chocolate chip paper or brown paper, and I'm going to stick it in this corner. I'm going to come in with Versamark or VersaFine ink, which is my favorite black ink, really. I'm going to ink that up. I apologize for the phone. Stamp that over here. It looks pretty good. So I'm not going to re-ink it. Let's do it again. Just to make sure it's nice and bold. Okay, that looks good. Wipe that real fast so it doesn't have too much ink on it. All right, so now we can take these backs off of this dimensionals. Come on, one more. All right, we're going to mount that on there. try to get it straight. Okay, and I'm going to bring in some gems. These are rhinestones, I think, or probably got them at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I'm going to take one middle one, put it here, one small one, put it right next to it, and then another small one at the other side of that sentiment. Okay, then I'm going to mount that to my card base, which is standard A2 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. And that should cover the whole entire front of this card. And there's the card. Here's the one I made previously. Slightly different colors or layout of the mountains. It does stick once the ink dries. It does stick. Well, thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.